When his loyalty and application is questioned, Logan will be placed in a deadly test, with his very survival hanging in the balance. Will this be the end of the Winter Soldier program before it even officially begins? Well, let's hop into the pages of Ultimate Wolverine issue number 2 and find out, shall we? So then, as we open up on this story, we are treated to a flashback to 30 years ago, where a mysterious scientist, who is very clearly Dr. Cornelius, the man who normally oversees the creation of Wolverine in the regular 616 continuity, Dr. Cornelius is talking about all of the amazing breakthroughs him and his team have made when it comes to adamantium research, but they are still nowhere near as close as they want to be when it comes to making a viable weapon. In fact, he says that Weapon Alpha died only moments after getting an adamantium infusion. Also, if you look on the wall there, you can see a bunch of Polaroids of potential Weapon X subjects, including Logan, the man who will no doubt become Sabretooth, Wraith of all people, and a mysterious fourth man who might be Deadpool. Cornelius's solo villainous monologue ends up getting interrupted by the coming of the Maker. It would seem that screwing with Wolverine's creation was actually pretty high on the evil alternate Reed Richards to-do list, so much to the point he murders Cornelius and says that for his perfect world to come to pass, Cornelius can no longer exist. Not only does the Maker kill him, but he also burns down his entire research facility. This, of course, answering the question as to why there is no Weapon X in this brand new Ultimate Universe, only Directorate X under the 3 leaders of Eurasia. And hey, speaking of Eurasia, it's after that we actually end up flashing over to the snowy tundra, wherein we see a detachment of commandos making their way through a frigid forest, only to be picked off one at a time by the Winter Soldier, who ends up doing an entire dive bomb on the detachment just to really showcase what an absolute master this guy is at guerrilla warfare, managing to pull off such a daring maneuver and then escape back into the woods like nothing happened. But how exactly did we get here, you might be wondering? Well, for that, we end up flashing back a few more days, wherein we see the head of Directorate X, Dr. Prostovic, having a one-on-one with the 3 leaders of Eurasia, Magik, Colossus, and Omega Red. Illyana is loudly voicing her concerns over this brand new Winter Soldier project. Oh, sure, the Winter Soldier has managed to kill several of their most deadly enemies, has completed 4 major missions. But can this creature formerly be known as Logan even be trusted? I mean, hey, what's stopping him from breaking this mind control, or maybe another psychic getting inside his head and turning him against Eurasia? We also don't exactly learn it in the conversation proper, but in the back appendix of this very issue, we discover that Dr. Prostovic has also been heavily involved in several other weapons projects for the Eurasians, including Sentinel's something called Project XS, or my personal favorite, and I had to actually Google this one for the full effect, Opasania Komanata, which when translated means scary room, though I think in reality what they were going for was danger room. The 3 leaders of Eurasia decide to put Dr. Prostovic and her creation through the ringer. Colossus worries that despite this creature having its memory scrubbed after every single mission, it can still dream while in stasis, which of course would speak to it having a higher level of cognition than these dictators would really like. Colossus even goes out of his way to put hands on the Winter Soldier to remind it of its place. After all, it's just an animal, right? It will respond better to violence and territorialism. The 3 leaders also decide that perhaps the best way to test the validity of continuing the Winter Soldier program is if they give the man who would be Wolverine a test, a special test that they can oversee. Instead of just reading a bunch of mission reports after the fact, the test will be simple. Colossus will handpick a series of Eurasian commandos to head into the backwoods with orders to kill a target, though they don't actually go out of their way to explain to the commandos that they will be going after the Winter Soldier, because, you know, if they did, they might not want to. To the commandos' credit, though, they're not stupid, and in fact, the latter half of the issue is them slowly but surely putting together what exactly is going on, that they're not being stalked by any enemy combatant. They are indeed fighting the Winter Soldier. But more importantly, they also discover a series of security cameras that the Eurasian Triad are actually watching this test from, meaning that this really is a do-or-die, life-or-death situation for these common soldiers. Either they kill the Winter Soldier, or they quite simply will not be making it back at all. Their leader gives a rousing little speech before we eventually smash cut in the next panel to Winter Soldier walking away carrying all of their severed heads. Colossus, Magik, and Omega Red are pleased with this turn of events, feeling that they truly do have the ultimate weapon in in their back pocket right now, but perhaps they're a little too pleased because they don't realize, as the comic comes to a close, that this supposedly mindless killer actually very clearly makes note of the cameras and that he too is being watched. Again, implying that there's way more actually going on under the Wolverine's hood than anyone could possibly suspect. And so that was Ultimate Wolverine issue number 2, everybody. Another fun, if not really life-changing issue. Again, I think I'm perhaps most impressed at the pacing they have decided to take. With this new book, everything is slow and deliberate. In fact, we're 2 issues in and we pretty much don't really know all that much about this new Ultimate Logan at all, or what's going on inside his head, as we are basically seeing him and his actions through other people. If issue 1 was all about how the Winter Soldier is perceived by his enemies, then this issue was all about how the Winter Soldier is perceived by his so-called allies, and that's allies with big finger quotes. And honestly, the answer is he's not perceived all that differently. He's an urban legend, a horror story, a monster that goes bump in the night in the woods. But clearly he has layers, he can dream, he knows what's going on around him, though maybe he's not betrayed just how much he knows yet. His creator, Dr. Prostovic, also doesn't entirely see eye to eye with Magik and the other Eurasian leaders. She does seem to care about Wolverine on a certain level, even if it might just be on a selfish level as her greatest creation. There's still so many mysteries and things to unlock in this series, and I'm definitely still invested to see where it's all going to go, even if 2 issues in, if you twisted my arm, I would say this one is still a little more style over substance than the other Ultimate offerings, but when the style is this good, I can't really complain all that much. What I can do is give it yet another 7.5 out of 10. Hey there everyone, it's your pal Cape Joel again, and if you're seeing my face right now, that means you watched to the end of the video, and I'll always be grateful for that. Retention helps in this crazy YouTube game, and so does becoming a patron. If you head on down to the description, you can find a link to my Patreon page. Recently just redid all the tiers, a lot of cool stuff offering up there, exclusive commentaries, exclusive polls, behind the scenes concept art for Capes and Quest. That's the brand new D&D show I've started soon. Never been a better time to become a patron. You can become a patron for as little as $1 a month and help the channel grow and, help me continue to deliver content like what you just saw. So I want to thank you all, and I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.